Guess who's back? Back again. Allison's back. Tell a friend. Are you Eminem fan? You listen to Eminem?
I do. I haven't for a while, actually. But yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, it's great to be back. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Okay, so you haven't listened to Eminem in a while, so at least I gave you the Kino version of Eminem. Not as good, but it's something. So how have you been? It's been about roughly 9 months since we last spoke. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah. Just busy, there's a lot that goes into getting, your next book out there. So that's one of the main things that I've been working on is, authors are always producing their next work. As soon as the last book is published, you're working on your next one. So, yeah.
So, so that do us part, right?
Yeah.
As long as I can move my fingers, I am going to be writing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what's up. But it's good to have you back on the show. As I said, roughly 9 months, just under a year. So I'm going to mention a few key points from what we discussed the last time, and then I am going to tag that show to the show so listeners can get to know you better. Because on that show, we took a deep dive into who Allison is in personal capacity. So I'm just going to go through a quick summary of what we discussed the last time, and then we can jump on to the main reason why you are here today. So the last time we spoke about your author, sorry, author. You know why I was saying author? Somebody was talking to me today about the round table. You know the
Oh,
Knights
really?
of the Round Table?
Yes.
Yes, now I got Arthur, King Arthur. Was it? Yeah,
You
King
got
Arthur.
Arthur on your mind.
Yeah, I got Arthur on my mind. Arthur versus AI. Not author versus AI, Arthur versus AI. That probably would be a good name for some fiction story made in the
Honestly, that would be a great book. I would totally King Arthur versus AI. I mean, wouldn't you read that?
I would actually be intrigued, if I had to come across a book with that title. So I'm putting it out there. Maybe I've given you another idea.
I'll put it on my list. I'll give you full author credit.
Thank you. Thank you. You see, that's good sportsmanship right there. Give credit to the people. Okay, we
Exactly.
spoke about author versus AI, the project, writing a book for 52 weeks to demonstrate that human creativity can outperform AI in speed, quality, and soul. Your reason for starting the project to inspire, discourage writers and show that AI cannot replace the human voice, emotion, and storytelling instinct. Your mission is to prove that while AI can generate text, it cannot replicate the human experience, art, or love of writing. We spoke about your background as an editor. You grew up with your mother, who was a copy editor, and editing came naturally to you. Your work as a ghostwriter, helping others bring their stories to life while still publishing your own original work. Environmental concerns around AI, the massive energy and water consumption required to run AI systems. AI's limitation in writing, poor dialogue, pacing, emotional depth, and reliance on generic summaries. The importance of writers' groups and human feedback. You recommended author. What do I have here? Oh, she recommends them as a free, effective alternative to AI editing tools. Your role as an associate editor of Scribes Micro, a digital magazine that publishes 100-word stories, poetry, and nonfiction. Scams targeting writers. This has actually become like so common on shows recently.
Yeah.
You warned about AI-generated scam emails and recommended that the website writers beware to verify legitimacy. Her alternate history novel, The New Empire, exploring what would have happened if the Chinese Empire had reached the Americas before Europeans. The butterfly effect, how one small change in history could drastically reshape the world. And your final message for creators: despite rejection, scams, and AI, every writer has a unique voice that deserves to be heard. Bulk of this was around AI. What an advocate for AI. Just today, like I'm always keeping tabs on what's happening with AI. And I saw quite an improvement of a tool that I came across last year. So, of course, there's several other tools out there, write your book in a couple seconds and so on. But then you still have to manually publish it to KDP. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, the tool now has advanced. Now you can write the book and it automatically publishes it for you to KDP within 47 seconds, Alison.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, based on what I've just summarized about our last show and me mentioning this new tool, how's your feelings around AI 9 months later?
Well, there have been some developments in the literary world since we last talked. Some good, some bad. Um, so starting out, I'll start out with the negative, and then we can go into the good stuff. um, but yeah, there have actually been some AI controversies with authors who are passing off AI generated work as their own. There were some notable ones. There was a mystery writer who published Shy Girl through one of the big five. And it was starting to get acclaim, but then people noticed that it had, all the telltale signs of AI. The book got pulled. The publisher had a lot of egg on their face.
Wow.
Another one recently, the Commonwealth Prize, which is a big prize with, lots of cash. One of the stories, again, uh, winner for the Caribbean region. People noticed after it won the regional part of the Commonwealth Prize that it also exhibited a lot of, you know, somewhat telltale signs of AI use. And it ended up winning the overall Commonwealth Prize, the grand prize.
Hmm.
Um, so in both cases, the authors denied using AI. So it's still very murky. um,
Yeah.
but it is starting to become more mainstream. And as you said, from your example of publishing a book, did you say 37 or 47 seconds?
47 seconds.
47 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, there has been a growing we're sort of going into the good part now. There has been a lot of growing backlash against AI created works. So not just from writers, but from readers, from publishers. Um, so while it is creeping into the sphere, and there's a lot of what is called AI slop, which is just badly constructed works, for anyone out there who doesn't know what that is. But yeah, there is a lot of growing backlash and people who don't want AI generated works, people who are trying to connect with the authors themselves. So again, it's sort of 50-50, sort of like what we talked about before.
Mm.
And it is getting murkier and some AI work is slipping through into some of these prestigious spaces. Um, but at the same time, I'm not gonna change my outlook. I'm still optimistic that people will still want, human created works and that there is still a place for us as creators. You in music, me in writing. There's, you know, and there I know a lot of artists too who have been concerned about it because AI generates a lot of images very quickly. But you can also tell they're AI. So people are pushing back. So I think that's great. The
Yeah.
consumers are pushing back.
Yeah. Um, Regarding these two competitions, okay, these
Mhm.
authors won it, and it was afterwards that they actually found out, or, the people who were reading found out, okay, this is AI generated. I spoke, it's actually two times I spoke to one person, then I ended up interviewing the wife as well, that's part of the press company. And they run a competition. They're based in Los Angeles. They run a competition each year. And they are so strict. I mean, there's tools out there, that you can use to actually identify whether something is written by AI or not. But the judges, they can pick up like straight away. So with these two competitions, where did they fall short? Knowing, or do they know that these tools
Yeah.
are out there and they're just not using it to go all the way that, hey, here's your winner, and then afterwards, all just comes crashing down.
Well, the thing is, both were during. So when for the book that was published by the Big Five, Shy Girl, it was published in stages. So the first stage, it was published in the UK. And before the US version came out, what happened is people started noticing after reading it, running it through AI checkers, that it exhibited all the signs of an AI book. So then there was a huge backlash. There was an article, I believe, in the New York Times, and the book got pulled by the publisher. So people actually reacting to it helped, stop it in its tracks. And so that, I guess, is a positive. There are people who will still find it, and say, we don't want this in our creative sphere. We don't want to read this. So that's good. For the other one, for the Commonwealth Prize, again, it was during. It was after the author had won the first part of the contest that people started to read it and say, you know what, this is also, this exhibits a lot of signs of AI, and they ran it through AI checkers. The one problem with AI checkers is they are also AI. So, and they're not reliable. Yeah, they're not reliable either. And for judges, you shouldn't put, a author's unpublished work into an AI checker, because you're literally feeding it someone's work. This is just what I believe. So the judges themselves, or the competition itself, was like, yeah, we're not putting authors' works into this, which I believe is the right choice. So it was up to the judges to catch it, which, people are falling on both sides of the divide, because the author again said he didn't use AI, but there are a lot of telltale signs about the writing that seem to indicate that he did. Maybe it wasn't, maybe he used it to augment his writing, but at the same time, there were, some noticeable problems with his writing. Again, it's a hotbed topic. So that, you'll find authors on both sides of the argument. Again, I don't believe in feeding, as an editor, I don't believe in feeding authors' works into an AI checker, because it is also AI. So I have to just discern it as best as I can. If something strikes me as AI writing, then, maybe not having it in my own magazine. In my magazine, we have guidelines that say, do not use AI. We don't want AI submissions. And to some extent, it's still the honor system.
Yeah, yeah. This is just a never-ending topic, it's a never
Yes.
it's a never-ending topic. Yeah, for sure. And we see organizations, and I speak for the music industry here, because like I hate the admin side of it, when you have to get all your registrations in order and so on. Like I hate that. But unfortunately, it has to be done. And I went on to our local PRO here, performance rights organization, to, just touch up some registrations with my music. And now, there's an option there to actually say, is it AI generated or not? So it's not like the PROs are saying, oh, we don't want it. Okay, we're going to work with it now. So you're allowed to make AI music. You just need to state that, okay, it was generated by AI. So it's the option now of, yes or no. So all these organizations are just integrating, with it now. And even in the music industry, more artists are getting involved. AI companies like Suno, which is amazing. I mean, I got a Suno account because, I love to play around with all these tools. And, you have artists such as Timbaland who are endorsing it because, and he's not endorsing it. Okay, he's getting paid to endorse it, but if you see what you can do with now and how you can actually integrate it with your traditional production tools or methods or so on, it's amazing. Honestly speaking, it's amazing what you can do. So you would rather use it in that manner, as in, look, I'm still going to produce my music traditionally, but I'm also going to integrate it with certain AI tools. That makes complete sense for me, and that's something I would do. But if you're just going on and you're prompting, Suno to make a song for you, and you've contributed absolutely nothing organic to it, that for me now is a problem. That there I would fear is a problem. But
Yeah,
when
because
it comes,
it's
oh, no, sorry.
sorry, I was just gonna say because it's basically just stealing other artists' work. It's not someone the person's creativity, it is just using other people's creativity, right? Remix.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, 100%. And, I mean, one of the points I mentioned, and you also touch on it now, with AI writing, the scams that, getting sent out, or these emails that get sent out to people, even myself, I also get these emails, from these companies, we'll do this for you, we'll do that for you. But there's certain things you do pick up from. Like this one I got yesterday. Okay, I forgot what the company is, but it's a legit PR company. It's proper. What they're going to do for you and so on with Amazon and keyword, blah, blah, blah. But like when they're proposing it to me, I don't know why they're proposing it to me, but anyway, maybe because, they pick up, hey, I'm talking to authors and I'm going to be like, hey, Alison, use this tool, just came across it. Maybe that's their plot. But like when you're giving me in the email, in the body of the email, just too much detail and you're praising me too much, that's a red flag for me. If you're a PR agency, you're not supposed to praise me so much. You're also supposed to say, look, we picked this up with your writing and we feel that, maybe you can do something better about it. You can improve in this area and we have the team and resources available to assist you with that. But if you're just praising and praising and praising, I mean, I'm not so perfect. Nobody is, you know. But
Yeah.
you could just pick up on these things, even though it's from a legit agency. But you pick up on these things, and okay, you used AI to put this proposal to Kino together, and then you sent it through. But the unfortunate truth is, and I was speaking to another friend of mine, is that there's still so many authors out there in the world that are falling for this, and they're paying thousands of dollars because they just want to get their exposure. So yes, it's a scam where it can be 100% scam, as look, you're going to pay that $1,000, whatever, and you're going to get nothing out of it, and the person is just going to like run away. You're never going to hear from them again. Or they're going to do something for you, but it's nothing that you can't do yourself, so you just need to like really think about it. That was the conclusion, right? You really need to think about it before. Like, I understand, with independent artists out there that they will just do anything, spend any amounts of money because I want to be exposed to the world. I need people to know me. Yeah, sure, cool, no problem. But really think about it. Even with music, the amounts of bots that's out there and these marketing companies, yeah, we can get you 100,000 streams, $500, so on. And you're like, yeah, cool. And they sell you that pitch. Hey, no, it's no bots that I use. These are organic listeners. And then you pay it, but they don't understand the bigger picture out of all, how many streams they actually need to generate some money out of Spotify, for example. And then they just do it. Even with Goodreads as well. I mean, I spoke to a few authors as well that got scammed on Goodreads because I think one guy paid about $200, and what this agency said is, we are going to get you, legitimate reviews. So, okay, cool. So then I told this author, because, we got that sort of relationship, can I go on and just, let me go check for you, from like a second pair of eyes. Let me check these reviews for you. And I go on, and I mean, just looking at it, I sent him email. I'm like, this is like similar to bots, You can
Yeah.
actually see it's similar to bots. Like, you paid so much money and they gave you like, I mean, about 20 reviews on Goodreads. But I'm like, but just looking at this, it's just, you can see something is not right about it. So, but it was a loss, I mean, you didn't know better at the time. So what can you say?
Yeah. No, there are a lot of scams out there, some that seem semi legit and some that are just, very obviously not. One of the latest ones is scammers will take the names of legitimate authors, like Stephen King was one example I saw, and say, supposedly he writes a letter to the author and saying, "Oh, I came across your work. It's so fabulous." As you said, the over, praising of the work. I just like to reach out to new authors and let's start a conversation. And that's how they draw people in because they have big eyes. They're like, wow, Stephen King. I would love to be, be in contact with him. I'd love to have him as a pen pal to give me advice. And of course, 5 or 6 emails down the road, they ask for money. Right. So there are so many and any of them. And as we discussed before, AI just makes it easier because someone can, in 20 seconds, plug in an author's book or author's information and come back with a letter that sounds mostly reasonable, and mostly praiseworthy, right? And send it off to someone. And it's a numbers game. If they send it out to 5,000 people, all they need is, a couple dozen to say yes. So it's very unfortunate, and it's another way of just getting spammed.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's trending. So, anyone listening who's a creative, you just need to be vigilant. That's all I say. Make calculated choices, honestly speaking. It's, you know, like, the music industry again, like the only thing you can do different, between the music industry and, I mean, you can do it in the book industry as well. Like if you get like a licensing deal, like with Netflix to make a series or so on, right? But I mean, that's like a lot more harder to actually get. But now, like in the music industry, what's changed now in 2026, moving forward with organic music, is that artists that are like anti-AI and want to make, their traditional music, they're no longer chasing the streams any longer. Yeah, if our music is on Spotify or Apple Music, YouTube, cool. But now what they're chasing is licensing deals because that's now where we are going to make, money with our music, or more money than Spotify. Of course, definitely. So it's like, okay, AI is flooding Spotify now. So we need to get licensing deals. We need to get into a movie. We need to get into an advert. We need to get into a series. And now there's platforms, that are coming up where you can actually do that and submit your music, and checks are in place to make sure, okay, the music wasn't done on Suno, for example. And because they do ask you, as part of the application process, is you need to, but then on the AI platforms, you can download the stems anyway. So, I mean, they've even covered that. I mean, what is an AI covering? But I mean, there is checks in place, and that's where they pushing their music now to actually get paid and get heard. So, yeah, that's what's up. But I mean, we keep going. So, thank you for keeping an advocate, for authors, discouraged authors, as you say, because it's needed. It's still needed. I mean, the last time we even spoke, I mean, we said it's needed and it's still needed.
Yeah,
People need
definitely.
that encouragement to say, let me keep going. Let me do what I do. My story matters. And it does. I mean, I like to read. So, I mean, if I'm reading a book, I want to be reading like a good story, you know? There has to be like a punch in it, some excitement, some good sauce in it. So, yeah, it's still needed. I don't
Yeah,
think.
that's true. And especially with the whole digital age, when social media came out, everyone, was like, this is the wave of the future for marketing. And it has been to a certain extent. There were influencers, there's booktok, there's lots of different platforms where you can get word out. But I feel like a lot of people now are also realizing the value of in-person events too. So, you see a lot more, like literary festivals. You see a lot more authors doing readings, I think. So I think there is, wave of the future, but now people are also starting to pull back and realize that, hey, maybe things weren't so, bad when we were doing it the old fashioned way, like in person, face to face. And I've actually taken that to heart myself. I've been doing a lot of in person events around my area, around my province. just to, reach out, to meet people, to meet readers. And I think it's had an overall very positive effect. That's not to say anything against online. I love going online. I love podcasts. I love being able to talk to you from around the world. Like normally you and I would probably not meet in real life face to face, but it's fabulous to meet this way too. Um, but there is also a local element that I think authors are starting to reclaim because there's that mass exodus. Okay, we're all going to do online, but now there's sort of a more, hey, let's do more grassroots getting out there too as creatives, like do more shows, like for music. Like there's a lot of musical festivals that are great to go to. And then you can actually see that your favorite artist is not just an AI program.
No, I agree. I also noticed that trend. It's like everything that's happened since COVID. It's like that in person is now coming back. Yeah.
Definitely.
So you're 100% correct. It's a definite plus. You see it happening all over. But yeah, thanks, Alison. Spending the last 26 minutes just touching on this never-ending subject. And thanks for your contribution and your inspiration, even for me, to just keep going, keep doing what you do. It matters. So I appreciate that.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
Alison, we are here today to talk about a trilogy, a book, and from what I read, that was released a couple of years ago, and now it's hitting a comeback. So, The Rose Queen, and you can start at any point that you want to.
Yeah, definitely. So that was actually my debut book. And I don't know if you've heard from other authors, once you plan a trilogy, you write your first book, it gets a lot of acclaim, and then you go to the sequel and it is dang hard to put out the second one because you don't want to disappoint people who really enjoy the first one. So I have been sort of working on the second one as a back burner. It's a YA fantasy. It's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and it basically flips the genders though, and tells the story in a whole new way. So the Beast is actually a woman, and so a lot of the common tropes in the original fairy tale can't happen because it completely flips the script, right? So it was a lot of fun to write, and it was always my favorite fairy tale, Beauty and the Beast. And so I've been working on the second book. Um, and I have the whole trilogy planned out, and I'm hoping to have the second book out shortly, which is why I'm, talking a lot more about the first one again.
Yeah, yeah. So, like a brief summary about what the story is about.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, uh a princess is betrothed to this evil sorcerer by her father, the king, and she refuses the marriage, and the sorcerer curses her, and he curses her to turn into a beast. And essentially she has 3 years to break the curse or she will die. So she is sent away, away from the capital city to her mother's estate. Her mother had passed away when she was young, and she has to figure out how to break this curse. And the secret at the heart of the whole thing is love. And she has to uncover this sort of riddle that I put into the book, this sort of nursery rhyme fairy tale, in order to figure out how to break the curse. And there's a lot of twists and turns that aren't in the original fairy tale. It's a whole book rather than, just a couple pages. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. A lot of fun twisting the tropes of the tale.
Yeah. Well, it sounds very interesting. Sounds like a good story, to read and to watch, but that to be like some movie as well.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, at the point of, writing the first book, okay, let me say this first. You write about what you're saying about authors finding it difficult to write the sequel, 100%
Mhm.
there. And the other thing as well that I've also picked up on authors is that once they write the first book, it takes them a good couple of years to actually get the second book out of the series because they were busy with so many other projects as well along the way. And even one author, it was like 15 years later. But in that 15 years, he released so many other books. And then he went back to that book, to finish the series. So that is a trend. Yeah. So you're 100% correct about that. So at the point of writing the first book, uh, generally speaking, what makes an author say to themselves, okay, I want to make this a trilogy and not just a standalone one story book?
For me, it felt like there was more to the story because I expanded it so much because I didn't just stick with the classic fairy tale. The first book does go through about uh maybe about half to two-thirds of the fairy tale. So the rest of the fairy tale is still to be told. So she sort of gets a somewhat happy ending, but there's still more to come. So, for example, the sorcerer who curses her, he's still out there. And still has to deal with him
Mm,
afterwards. So that's something that they don't tell you, like in the original
mm,
fairy tale, the sorceress who curses the beast, she was still out there, but she never is brought back into the original fairy tale. So I wanted to close up those loose ends, sort of, and make
yeah.
sure that the full story, all of those loose threads are answered and figured out. So also what happens, the practicalities. Like I pulled a lot from my background in history, because the story is set in sort of a alternate world, 1600s France. And what happens, when all of a sudden there's this princess who has been gone and she has to go and rule a kingdom. How do people react to that? Like, if there was a royal in a country who disappears for 3 years and then comes back, um, how would the people feel about that? Like, they'd be a bit suspicious, right? Um, so there's a lot of like real world things that I try to put into um the bare bones of this fairy tale and sort of bring the story to life so you can sort of feel like, "Oh my goodness, this could have actually happened."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I get where you're going with this. This is like, the bad guy got away. So he's still there, you know, yeah,
Exactly.
plotting again because I mean the sorcerer, just doesn't leave it. Yeah, okay, you won this time around, but I'm coming back for you.
And if it gives you an idea of where the story is gonna go, the second book in the trilogy is called The Rose War. So, definitely there's some conflict, and some exciting, battles ahead still.
Yeah. And the Rose Queen won a couple awards as well.
Mhm. Yeah,
Can I
definitely.
mention those awards?
Ye one was the Literary Classics Award, um, and it also won the Bragg Medallion. So it had a really great feedback. Another site gave it Book of the Year, one of the books of the year. So a lot of people really enjoyed it, which was like very humbling for me, for my first book. And it was very lovely to hear all this wonderful feedback. Like I would do it without the awards, but it was wonderful to get them, um, and very affirming for me to keep on going.
Yeah. So I'm sure all the people that read the book at the time, this was before 2020, like they've been waiting, right?
Yeah. Yes, I
Yeah,
I do
patient people.
get yes, I do get, bugged by people who are like, "You kept on saying the second book is coming up." Like, "It is. I swear it's coming out." Um, so yeah, I did have, someone who was interested in maybe publishing it. That deal sort of fell through. Yeah, so it has had a long journey, but it will see the light of day. I am not gonna George R. R. Martin it just to say I will publish the next book. This is not just me saying it and never doing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what timeline are you working on for the Rose War?
Right now it is pretty much done, almost done. And then it has to go through edits, which is a very slow process.
Yeah.
So my hope is next year, it will be able to come out. In the meantime, as you mentioned, sometimes authors work on other things. I will have a couple books, from one of them from my Author versus AI project, coming out in the meantime. So there will be more reading material in between. So anyone who needs their fix, there will be more books out. to sort of tide you over until the next Rose War or the Rose Queen book is coming out.
Yeah. So are we expecting like fiction or non-fiction or bit of both before
Oh,
the
definitely both fiction. I'm a fiction girl. So, one is a collection of short stories, um, uh, and it's science fiction, all science fiction short stories. And I just was, I'm working with this wonderful cover artist in Canada here, and he just sent me the finalized cover art, and it's gorgeous, and I'm so excited for it. Um, and that should be coming out later this year. And then the second one, that should be coming out is also fiction. It's sort of a slower tale. It's more literary. It's about a mother and her child, going on sort of a road trip together and figuring out things. So a little bit true to life in some ways. I did that with my own kids, and so I pulled a lot from my own life and my own experiences.
Yeah.
But it's definitely fiction.
Yeah. There's always there's that underlining dotted line to like nonfiction, you know, because as you said, you pull it up from your life, but instead of making it about like Alison, you're gonna gain more, readers by making it a story,
Mhm.
but still element of my life. Yeah.
See, I have a hard time writing nonfiction because I just I like to veer off, and although I'm a student of history, I love history. Um, I I think there's too much that's unspoken, too many stories that haven't been told, and so I want to tell them, and there might not always be the material for that. So I really love being able to take liberties, to look at a historical figure and be like, you know what? We don't know what they said exactly, but I can put it in there. I can make it fiction.
Yeah, it makes sense. And how, I mean, before we came on, you spoke about, your oldest and college and so on. So how do you have so much energy? I mean, you have so much energy right now. So what's the magic trick for balance and time management for an author in 2026?
Um, I would say lots of tea, lots of tepe. I don't know. Yeah, I seldom drink coffee, so that is it's not that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just take such enjoyment out of it. Ever since I was very, very young, I always wanted to be a writer and be in sort of a writing space, whereas free to express myself. And I had a lot of jobs along the way. I worked I moved around, I worked a lot of jobs. And so when I finally got to sort of a lifelong dream and being able to write my own stories and having people actually enjoy them, um, it sort of gave me, I guess, that impetus to keep going. I love what I do every single day, even sometimes the unfun parts of it, like the marketing is not exactly everyone's cup. Not fun. Um, but you get benefits from it too. So I really enjoy everything that I do every day. And I love my kids endlessly to bits, even though they're teenagers and maybe are quite embarrassed by mom sometimes. It's so I just love being able to help them and seeing them on this journey.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's the key takeaway. Love what you do, and you will enjoy every day.
Yeah, no, I agree, with the whole love what you do 100%. And you mentioned marketing, and yeah, I can just give it that sigh, there's times like I can use today's Thursday. Yeah, can you? It was actually yesterday. I mean, yesterday I start off the day, with I'm like, okay, let me focus on some marketing. I need to create some reels and generate content for like all the podcasts. Not just this podcast, but the other three as well. And next thing you know, it's 5 p.m. and all I've done the entire day was be on Facebook, be on Instagram, be on TikTok. And I'm like, really? Really? Like, This is what it takes. And it's something you have to be consistent with. And the way the algorithm is changing, it keeps evolving. Like I sent this report to another colleague as well. Okay, posting once a day is not good enough. Posting twice a day, you're probably going to get few hits from the people that do follow you, maybe. But now we try to focus on the people that don't follow you because that is your potential audience. But no, you need to post 4 times a day for the algorithm to say, hey, okay, you know what? Alison has some credibility here. So we're going to give her more exposure. Okay. Now that's what you have to do. The traditional way of doing it, the non-paid way of doing it. Now we see how Facebook is also evolving. Now Facebook, okay, we all know you can get this verified badge, but now there's Meta One now. Meta One is out there now. Now with Meta One, for this amount of money each and every single month as a creator, these are the benefits. Now we know how this is going to work and where this is going to go. If you're going to do it, okay, I'm going to post 5 times a day, the non-paid way. We know for a fact the big tech companies are not going to give you the exposure that you do need. Yeah, I'm going to be getting some good exposure, yeah, but I could get much more and be where I need to be, but it's going to come at a cost. And that can become discouraging for a lot of creators, authors, musicians, whoever you are out there, because you're thinking to yourself, okay, it's already costing me so much time to write this book, and I'm earning nothing because it's going to take me like about a year to write this book. Then it's all the cost involved in the editing, and it's the cost involved in the publishing, even though I can do it myself. But I mean, there's the cost involved in that. And you just feel, really, maybe I should just stop, And that's discouraging for me to hear and, and see out there happening. It sucks.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's also hard for authors going into this sphere, and it's easy to burn out. It's easy to say, I have to do all the things in order to get my message out there and run yourself ragged, not with your writing, but with the marketing, as you're saying. I don't know. I don't know if I'm the best example. I don't post regularly. So, I post when I feel like it. And I do belong to all the platforms, but some I completely neglect. But I'm there in case someone wants to reach out to me. But yeah, it is a full-time job, and it is definitely hard to do it all yourself. Um, for me though, I am happy to step away. I'm happy to unplug. Um, I feel like my work is not as I have to be on the socials every single day kind of thing. So I can step away for a week or a month sometimes and say, I'm not doing anything this month. I'm going to be writing. Um, so yeah, I feel like it's easier for some professions than others. Like, a podcast where you're putting out episodes constantly and you want viewers, that's much harder, like, to unplug from. You have to do the work, as you're saying, and it has to be consistent. So yeah, it's definitely hard. Instead of making our lives easier, I feel like a lot of this has just, again, run us ragged. It has made us be on 24/7, and no one is able to do that. So yeah, if you need a break, take a break. It's my best advice.
Well, it is good advice. That's the healthy thing to actually do,
Yeah, but we're not healthy.
Yeah. No, but it's just that constant, pressure that you see happening. And the brutal, honest truth, I mean, I can use this podcast as an example. Yeah, of course, with the marketing and the promotions, yes, it does bring me, personal benefit as well, but it's secondary. My main objective is to expose the author as much as possible, for the author's benefit. And because, like, I do not want to see the author, giving up one day or feeling demotivated. And that's why I do what I do, you know? And you have to pull out the best clips and you have to edit to make sure, like, if it's just the author's face, even when I do a clip, I'm good with that because I need that message from that author to be out. And that's just, where we are at the moment. It's not about, hey, okay, I need to get people to watch the full interview, and we know how people's attention span is these days. It just decreases, every single day. But then I see progress on, okay, yeah, there's good views on TikTok, good views on Instagram. It's working, it's there. And, that's just my role, in all of this. I want to see, each and every single week, I get this opportunity, just like I have with you now, to speak to inspiring authors, genuine authors that are writing organically and they love what they do, just like you said. And I don't want to see that love fade away. You
Yeah.
don't. We all need to work together in this digital and AI era. With that's what's going to keep all of us relevant. You know, so yeah, we just keep going. So, but it is overwhelming. There's some mornings, and I love to wake up early in the morning and get my day going. I love to meditate. I love to pray. But there's some mornings, I'm like the blanket over. I'm like, do you want to get up today? you know?
Oh man, I definitely feel that. I definitely feel it's true. I mean, but we're human. That's the thing. We're expected to be, especially if you are public facing, especially if you are out there, putting your face, your life, everything out there. Um, it can be hard to sort of say, okay, I'm also human. I'm not just the image that I present to the world. So, um, I don't know. I think the older that I get and hopefully wiser, I don't know. The more that I'm willing to say, okay, I can't do everything. I can try, but I will fail. I know that.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. You will pick yourself back up and keep on going. So,
Yeah. No, 100%. You need a team. You need a team, That's why you got Mickey. Mickey's part of your team. And then
oh,
I'm
definitely. It
here,
is fabulous.
part of that team also coming from another direction. So everybody needs, at least it doesn't matter how many people it is. Some people, can have one person, some people have 10 people, but you're 100% correct. You cannot do it yourself. You do need a team. And I mean, that's when I can look at the positive side of AI, right? Because I mean, there's certain things, that will cost me, to have three people, but I'm like, okay, well, okay, I can't afford three people right now, but then there's tools I can use, that's going to make it easier. But I mean, I guess the tools have always been there. It's just more advanced now as we move forward. But yeah, no, that's just it. We take each day as it comes, and 100%, we are only human, and we can just do the best that we can. So, Alison, the Rose Queen itself now, where can we get the book? Is the book still available? It's still out there?
Yes, definitely. Anywhere books are sold. You can I always like to advise if you want to get it in go to your local bookstore, ask them to order it if they don't have it. I always like to support local bookstores because they put on fabulous events. And but if not, you can order it from any major retailer.
Yeah, yeah. No, thanks. Well, while you said bookstores, I told another author a few weeks ago, like in South Africa, it's so hard to find. Like there is bookstores, but they don't have like any culture. You know, like like you never see like an author at a bookstore, or a book
Oh,
stand.
really? Oh, okay.
And I would love to see those things. I hear so many, authors, especially in Canada, right? Talking about, yeah, and I see these pictures of all these authors that come on the show and they got their book stand and there's these nice flyers and it's so like, colorful. And I'm like, wow, I would love to experience that, but you do not get that, this side of the world ever.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's too bad. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Actually, a fabulous an author that I follow that I really love. She's an indie author. Her name is Bailey Higgins. She's from South Africa, and she does like horror apocalypse type of stories. I wonder if she does any local events. I don't know.
Maybe she
Maybe
does.
she does.
Yeah, you should ask her because, like, where I'm based, maybe she's also based in Johannesburg, but Johannesburg is quite big, and it's the capital hub of South Africa. But like where I am, I mean, you don't see it. You go to the local shopping center, cool, yeah, you'll find, the bookstores as well. But where I do find some sort of culture and where I've purchased like 95% of the books that I have here on my shelves, behind me, but you can't see them right now, is these secondhand bookstores, you know? Like you walk to the secondhand bookstores, you find like a bit of culture where, the people behind the counter, they want to talk about books and they want to have a conversation with you. And you find like really good books, at amazing prices that are still in good condition. But if you go into like these like proper retail ones that are all in these like fancy malls, it sucks. So dull. You don't even want to go in there. So yeah, that's my
Because
experience.
yeah, it's the chain factor because chains don't have a personality. So I also love my independent bookstore. So there's one here near me called Audrey's Books. They've been around for over 50 years and they're fabulous and
Wow.
they put on so many author events. They actually a few months back they sponsored an event for Margaret Atwood, who is like, the most famous Canadian writer ever. And I totally love her. And I went to her event. But yeah, without indie bookstores like that, there generally aren't a lot of events. They're the ones who put
Yeah.
on these really great author readings, author talks. Um, so yeah, so maybe having more indie bookstores in your area would be something that would encourage that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. It's just that you need certain game players to actually like initiate the moves. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
okay, cool. Because I know, there's like even there's press companies I have spoken to that are based in the US and, they have certain projects that are going on here in South Africa. So it's like for them to actually like initiate to say, hey guys, let's start this and let's get people like, Kino now to actually be a part of it and run with the projects, while we here, that's what needs to actually like, happen. And but maybe I need to send them an email. Hey guys, how about this idea? Think we could start something. And what I also told someone else once also was that if you ever watched the series on Netflix called You,
No, I haven't, but
and
I've heard about it, yeah.
yeah. It's a twisted story, but I mean, like in the series, I mean, season one, and yeah, it pops up here and there as the whole thing unfolds. I mean, there's this like old school bookstore where you go in and you find these old school books, and also that like it's hard for me to come across, you know, like old books. I'm not talking about new releases and so on, like these old school books. Do you get those sort of stuff like going on your side of the world?
Yeah, I mean, there are some specialty bookstores that have those, but yeah, they're rare, I would say. I just had an idea. I don't know if this is something that you would ever do, but you have your podcasts. What if you went to like one of these bookstores and found a local author and said, "Hey, I will broadcast my podcast live from your store."
Mm, mm,
That might be a fun thing too. I don't know. I don't know if you're mobile
yeah,
in terms of like actually taking your whole studio
yeah,
down
yeah.
down to a store, but yeah, you could start the trend. You could be the trendsetter.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're right about that.
Yeah.
It was just on Monday, for the first time in 3 years, I had a South African author actually come on the show for the first time ever in 3 years. The show has always been international. You know, it's like these laugh out loud moments that I have with people because I say, like, I'm in the center. I deal with people in the West, people in the East, but it's never been locally. And there's a reason behind it, that I explained to this author that I brought on. And the only reason I came across her is because the algorithm, because the way I've adjusted it, I actually saw her like just pushing and pushing the marketing, constantly. And I was like, okay, here's something different that I don't see all the time from a local creator. So I reached out to her and she was like blown away. She was like so excited. She was like, Kino, I actually screenshot your message, sent it to my husband. And I was like, yeah,
Oh,
finally, somebody's reached out to me. And she came on, we had a phenomenal conversation, and I'm bringing on to another show as well. So maybe you're right, maybe this is the start of that trend, and possibly after, her show is uploaded tomorrow, I could reach out and I'll be like, let's start something together. I just spoke to Alison yesterday. She gave me an idea. Let's see where we can do this. Let's go to a bookstore and let's do this. I could probably interview you again there, or maybe you can get them to purchase your book, have it on the shelf, something, right? Let's do something. So thanks, Alison. I am taking that idea to heart.
Nice. And I actually just looked up the author I mentioned, Bailey Higgins. It said that she is actually from Johannesburg. So yeah, you should look her up too and see if you can have her on your show. It's
Bailey Higgins.
Bailey Higgins, and she writes, it's Baileigh is her first name. And
sorry, spell it again.
Sure. Baileigh.
I completely had it spelled differently. Okay.
No worries. I can give it to you after the show. But yeah, no, I love her stuff. I haven't ever met her in person, but I talked to her on email. I reviewed several of her books for a magazine, and I think she's a fabulous author. So I definitely recommend her.
Okay, cool. So she's definitely indie, but is she also like in a position of being like stuck, or is someone doing well?
She's doing well. She's doing well. So she has multiple books out. She has a whole book series, or a couple book series, I would say. Of apocalyptic fiction. So yeah, she is doing well, and I think she would love being on a show like this.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I am definitely going to check out. There was a shot in the dark when I said she probably is in Johannesburg, because that would make common sense. But then again, Johannesburg is big, so I would love to check where she's at, and yeah, let's take it from there. Thank you.
Little does she know, like, I'm recommending her on the show. But yeah, it's great. This is the thing. You find an author you love, and you want other people to love them too. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. You see, this is what we do. That's how we keep everybody just relevant and going. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. So, okay, so the Rose Queen, once again, you said you can find it at your local bookstore. And for international, of course, Amazon is your place to go. And then, again, you can mention where people can find you online, website, social media details, even though, you might only find Alison once a month posting. But
well, I post around. So maybe once a month on one platform, but if you go to all my platforms, it's more frequent than that. But yeah, everything can be found on my website, which is AlisonMcBain.com. And I always like to say it's Alison with one L. Otherwise, you'll probably go off to someone else. But yeah, all my socials are there right on my homepage. So if you're not into websites, then you can go to find me on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or pretty much anywhere. I'm all around. You can find my books there too.
Yeah. But I will definitely tag you on the social media platforms, whenever I'm posting content. And the website, that is one thing, that is in the description that I do double check is correct. so it will be there. But yeah, thank you so much, Alison, for once again coming on the show and being so awesome.
And it's so great to talk to you again. It's fun to follow up and see what's going on.
Yeah, everybody just working together as usual. That's what we need to do and keep pushing. And yeah, once again, I'm going to put out that's what keeps everyone involved in the indie space, relevant. Everybody needs to work together. Nobody needs to be out there competing with each other. Let's work together. Everybody has their set of readers, so let's just all work together. But thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing, which you do so well.
Thanks. Thanks so much. It was lovely seeing you.
Yeah, you too. Chat to you again soon in the future to come. The Rose War out 2027. You know, I hope there's not too much pressure. I'm putting pressure there. It has to be in 2027, right?
Exactly. It will be.
Yeah. All right, Alison, catch you later.
Great. Thanks.